بینندگان بسیار عزیز، سلام های گرم من رو بپذیرید از برنامه دیگری از سری برنامه های لایو ویت سوزی از تلویزیون عصر امروز one.com glwiz.com و همچنان خوشحال هستم بگم که برنامه ها از طریق فیسبوک پیج سوزی خاتمی به طور لایو براتون پخش میشه. جمعه دیگری هست مطابق معمول فرایدی ها ساعت 2 تا 2:50 به وقت محلی لس آنجلس با شما و در کنار مهمان عزیزی که به برنامه دعوت میکنیم برنامه رو پی میگیریم. خوشحالم امروز بسیار از این که با دوست عزیز دیگری آقای فرد پروانه برنامه این هفته رو تقدیم حضورتون خواهیم کرد. یکی از ایرانی آمریکایی هایی که سالیان سال هست در آمریکا زندگی میکنن، در ایست کوست بیشتر در شرق آمریکا بودن، الان هم 2 سالی هست که به لس آنجلس شهر فرشتگان آمدن، دعوت برنامه من رو پذیرفتن. And you know why? Because we have so much in common with Mr. Parvaneh and I'm so thrilled and pleased to invite him to my show and more pleased that he has accepted my invitation and here he is today. Mr. Parvaneh, without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Very kind of you to have me.
Absolutely. ما اینترویومون رو با مستر پروانه we're going to do it in English زبان شیرین انگلیسی امروز صحبت میکنیم because Mr. پروانه even when he lived back at home in Iran he used to go to Iran Zamin, a well-known school that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It was a school for most Iranians who wanted to speak mostly English or they were coming from families that maybe half English, half Farsi speaking and therefore the actual language for that school was mainly English. So that's where you attended and that's why you're more comfortable in the language in English, which is what I promised him that would be what we're going to be talking and conducting the interview in. So, tell us about back at home and how old were you when you left Iran, Mr. Parvaneh?
I left Iran in 1975 after graduating from school. I think I was 17 years old.
Okay, now we figured how old he is. Not that was the intention, but here we go. You voluntarily said so.
I left. I came here for college, like most people at that time. That came to the United States. I got into an engineering program, studied structural engineering.
Interesting.
But life took me a different channel. I got into mortgage banking.
Wow.
Yeah. And we did that for about 30 years.
Long time.
Long time, yeah.
How was the mortgage business back in
when we
days?
started, it was fun. It was exciting. It was sort of a novel idea and a novel company the way we approached it. But with the financial disaster that happened, you know, I kind of got burnt out in that entire industry, and I left. I'm happy to say that I'm here in Los Angeles.
We're happier that you're here.
That's kind of you. I started a new business, and basically it's a passion of mine that I thought that if I don't do it now, then time is going to be up. So I started about a couple of years ago, and so far I've been very happy doing it.
Glad to hear it, and we're going to find out what that passion and business is. Yeah. It's so interesting what he does, and I'm so delighted that I finally got to meet him and got to know Mr. Parvaneh because it so happened that we have so much in common actually. That was fascinating for me because I have someone that I can comfortably talk to, we understand each other, and it's really fabulous that he really cares. He's not just saying it. He really means what he says and he goes after it. He talks to a lot of Iranian Americans in our community and introduce them to our community. So we get to know how many intelligent, genius Iranian Americans we have, or Iranian from different parts of the world, not just Iranian American, that live around the world. And through Fred Parvaneh, we get to meet each and every one of them, and they're all delightful to know. Mr. Parvaneh, before I get to know, or our audience get to know who you interview and what is it that you do, I want us to go back to Iran when you went to Iran Zamin, because I know that school was very close to your heart.
Yeah.
It was a very closely knit group of people who went there, and I'm sure most of you ended up all in the United States, and you have probably reunion here, right? Tell us about those time, and also I know reading your bio that you sent me that you did a very great interview with the principal of the school last year around this time for Valentine's. By the way, happy belated Valentine's to you and my viewers. Tell us about that interview.
Zamin was a sort of a elite school. You had to know English to get into it, and it was run by American Jesuits, based on a international baccalaureate program. My graduating class was 75 kids, and it was a co-ed school at that time, so we both had boys and girls in the same school. It really was, without exaggeration, the best time of my life. And the bonds that we developed in that school turned out to be lifelong. You're absolutely correct. All of my close friends, even to this day, are from that school.
I think I'm the only exception that wasn't from Iran Zamin.
Well, I've met some very nice people here, but really,
mostly, yes.
My closest friends I still call from that day. It's hard to explain why that bond developed, but because we went through a sort of a very common type of lifestyle, as well as basically what happened to us in Iran, and then we moved all here, and this turned out to be almost like a family for me. So I really have very fond memories of them. As far as the interview with the headmaster is concerned, Mr. and Mrs. Irvine ran, they came from community school, which was sort of a sister school to Zamin. And I currently run the social media sites for Kayhan Life, which is a sort of a sister site to Kayhan London. And what we do is we spotlight the Iranian diaspora and basically talk about Persian culture, Iranian lifestyle, and so forth. So for last year, for Valentine's Day, I thought, actually it was our managing editor's idea, that we approach the Irvines to see if that's something that they want to talk about. And it really turned out to be a very heartwarming story. Sadly, Mrs. Irvine passed away.
Yes, I read.
Shortly thereafter. But
then good thing that you did
absolutely.
Interview. The timing was perfect.
And it flooded back a sense of nostalgia that we had, and she was very kind and very generous with all her stories and so forth. So I was delighted to write about it.
And so they left Iran at the time of the revolution took place?
No.
After,
well, they closed the school. I think I could be wrong. Maybe a year or a year and a half after the revolution happened. So they did stay, but because it was co-ed initially, they separated it. So, and then eventually the school closed down.
Down. And they moved to the U.S.
Yeah, they moved.
And that's how you kept in touch with them. And
again, as I said, because all the friendships that we have had, yes, we have been in touch with most everybody that
Did
went
she
to,
actually remember you as a student in that school?
Yes.
It's funny, it happened to me too. I happened to interview a principal of Khwarazmi, where I used to attend in Tehran, and I interviewed her on my radio show, and I couldn't believe how much she really remembered me. And she was all fond of me, and she was talking about it on the air. Of course, it felt good having compliments from the principal of the school.
Sure.
But we had so many students, though, at Khwarazmi. It wasn't a small school. And yet she remembered not only me, of course, but a lot of my friends from the class. And we still, here and there, talk to her. And she lives actually in Northern California, Mrs. Abayan. But whenever she comes to LA, we love to see her. And it's great nostalgia, and it's great to get back to those days, our younger days. But anyway, you mentioned about the Kayhan Life and the fact that you work with them. How long ago did you start doing that?
I started with Kayhan Life about a year ago. The manager and editor actually went to Iran Zamin. She's also a friend of mine. And she approached me, said that, look, she wants to start a new sort of a site that complements Kayhan London, but we want to keep politics out of it and simply focus on Iranian culture and lifestyle. And she said, will you be able to help us disseminate the stories on social media and so forth? So I was delighted to do it. It's something that I like doing. And so I joined them, and I pretty much now I run their Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages.
Interesting.
And periodically I write for them as well. So late in life, I've become a journalist.
Yes, it's a great thing to do. It's
Yeah,
a great
it's fun.
passion to
It
have.
really
It's
is.
fun.
Yeah.
So besides working for Kayhan Lives and
Yeah.
you're doing stories for them, what else do you do as far as the social media? And what made you actually become interested in doing the social media?
I'll backtrack a little. There is a site called Beyond Shores of Sunset, which was started by a friend of mine who's a cardiologist, and he approached me a couple of years ago and said that, look, will you be interested in sort of administrating the site and just minding it and maybe disseminating some of the pages and so forth? I said, I'd be delighted to do it. But like everything else that now happens on the internet, the site had sort of morphed from its original concept, which was basically highlighting accomplished Iranian Americans. The way it is right now, we have numerous contributors to that site, and they all have their own editorial content, and we really don't override anybody's opinion and so forth. So it has a lot of different stories. I told him that, I'd be more than happy to do it, but at the same time, I'd like to actually start an Instagram page that goes back to what we were doing before, which was basically saying who Suzi Khatami is, or who.
By the way, thank you for writing about me.
No.
That's the only opportunity I have now live to thank you.
No, it's
I
quite
did
all right.
thank you in person.
Yeah,
but
you
I
did
wanted
that.
to thank you.
You're
for
more than
writing
welcome.
that
Yeah, you're
kind
definitely-
article about me.
So I started this page called Inspiring Iranians, which is basically a sister page to Beyond Shores of Sunset, but it simply highlights accomplished Iran. And I do this daily. I either take bios that are open to the public from sources like Wikipedia and so forth, and I write a little snippet about them, or I just approach the people that I want to highlight and ask them for either an article that they've been written about, or they have a bio that they want me to use it, and then basically I just post it. It's a way of me giving back to our community because, frankly, the Iranian culture here is that, I don't know if it's hardwired into us or not, but we were meant to be quiet when we came here. Go get your degrees, don't rock the boat, and just, go your merry way, earn your money, and have a happy life.
Right.
I'm glad to say that that perception has changed, and we have such a enormously accomplished population of people here that have done so well, but you never hear about them.
True.
We never boast about them. And I think if slowly but surely this is changing. And I'm also happy to see that we're becoming a political force. There are a number of people that have gone into politics and have done really well, and I'm really happy. And I think the younger generation of Iranian Americans is exceptionally talented, and they're really carrying the torch right now. And I'm really profoundly happy to see that happen.
Reading your bio, Fred, and things that you do, and finding people on a daily basis, really, really amazed me. That how does Fred find all these people?
I'll tell you.
Because I know we have so many Iranians.
Yeah.
I know most of them are very successful. By the way, I also read something, I have to say that here before I forget, that you mentioned that I cannot, or I don't want to, however you put it, to only write and talk about people who are very famous
Yes.
and everybody knows them, because I want to also give opportunity to people who are not necessarily known, and let them figure out who these people are and encouraging them.
Yeah.
So that part I really, really liked, because I think those are the people who we tend to somehow forget, and it would be always nice to be encouraging to those group of young people who have a great life ahead of them, who are very bright, very intelligent, and yet they need that support. They need their community to support them. And you do that. And that's something I had done
Yeah.
when I did my radio show.
Yes.
And to find these young people who had plenty to offer to the community from different walks of life, could be author, filmmaker, musician, actors, you name it, scientists. And you doing the same thing. And you write articles, you put it in social media every day. I wake up and I look at my Facebook, Instagram, there's always Fred Parvaneh introducing someone, and I can't keep up with what you do. So how do they find you, is what I'm asking. Or you find them?
I
or
find
both
them,
ways?
and the truth of the matter is, it's not planned. And you know, it's strange talking about this because I don't devote that much time to it. Just to give an example, like last night I decided to write a story, and it literally took me about 10 minutes to do it. And it just, somebody's name popped in my head, or I saw maybe an article somewhere that said, okay, well, he or she hasn't been featured, I should do it tomorrow. And that's how it develops. It's not like that I have a schedule of people that say, okay, you know, tomorrow it's going to be Jack and tomorrow it's going to be Suzi and so forth. It's sporadic and it's hazardous, but it works, whatever it is. As far as highlighting younger people, you're absolutely right. I actually like it better to highlight people that are really not that well known and make an introduction to them. I'll cite you an example. I had a young girl, her name is Natasha Torki. She and her family run a beauty salon. And what she does is so far she's hired like 54 refugees.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what, here's a young girl that honestly, she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves, but she's really helping our community. So, you know, we should write about her. So I asked her for a bio, and in her bio she had said, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed because my resume is not that great. And she had actually written that. And then she called and said, is there any way you can take that phrase out? And I told her, I said, and I was actually very adamant about it. I said, look, that's one sentence is what caught my eye.
There we go.
Because it showed humility on your part, and you fully are deserving to be on this site. Okay, not everybody can be a Dr. Firuz Naderi. Not everybody can be a Pierre Omidyar. They've, as accomplished as these people are, you know, they're already
there. They're already
known. Plus, you know, they're unique in what they do. Granted, what you do may not have all the necessary degrees and so forth, but it's equally important to our community because you're providing a service to families and you're setting a good path for these people to follow.
Absolutely.
She said actually, a younger one had gotten accepted in college and so forth. And I said, you know, there you go. You know, your contribution is what set these people's...
Absolutely. And there are great examples for younger generation to come to follow their footsteps.
Right.
And this is important that you pay attention to that, and I really appreciate that. Another feature things you do is about authors. We seem to have plenty, especially lady authors. I mean, I don't know what happens to men. They don't like to write stories as much.
Oh, no, they do.
For the past decade, I've come across, because I interview them a lot on my radio and TV shows, and I happen to meet mostly ladies coming up with books, and they're all very interesting. And one of the ones that you talked about is Nina Ansari and her latest book. Tell us about that experience. And
Nina's a very dear friend, so as full disclosures go, she's a close friend. She wrote a book called Jewels of Allah, which was based on her dissertation, PhD dissertation, and she highlighted Iranian women throughout the ages, not so much basically the current ones, but going all the way back through the old Persian Empire, and how women have contributed to Persian society and so forth. She's very involved in empowering women, and that's a cause that's very dear to my heart. So any chance that I get, I try to promote her work. I think what she's doing is commendable and worthwhile, especially in light that now there's a sort of a feminist movement in Iran. Maybe it's not getting as much recognition as it should, but books like Nina's are certainly contributing to people getting to know these type of movements.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it will lead to a better and brighter future.
I hope so. We see some changes happening for better these days through social media.
Yes, social media is an enormously powerful tool, and it's sort of unprecedented in human history that everybody can have such a connectivity globally.
Absolutely.
And the amount of the information that's out there and so easily accessible is really historic.
And then another author that is going to be my guest next week, Alexandra Monir, is a dear friend, and she's written a few other books, and this is her fifth, I think, book that she has published recently. You have interviewed her.
Yes,
How
I
did
did.
you find that interview with Alexandra? She's a young Iranian American.
I know
born
her
and
mom.
raised in U.S. So do I.
Yeah, through Iran Zamina, believe it or not. Yeah. Alexandra's written a book about it's called The Final Six. It's a science fiction book, but the good thing about that book is that the lead character in it is a female scientist, and it's an Iranian-American female
Which
scientist.
is a great idea that she's
I don't
done.
think it's ever been written about, and I think it's high time that we had a character like that.
Absolutely.
So I thought it was, when I read her bio, I said, you know what, we should do an interview, and you should talk about it. And I'm glad we did it because the book comes out, I think, around Nowruz.
March 6th, I think she said her book signing is.
Okay.
And you did your interview.
Yes.
She's going to be here next week, and I will do my
I'm glad
interview
to
with
hear.
her. I'm actually reading her book the past few weeks that I was sick at home, and it was the best time for me to catch up with my reading books. And one of her book that she sent to me was her latest, and I was reading it, and I'm not done yet, but I'm in the middle. And she's a great writer.
Yeah,
She
she
really
writes
is
very
strong,
eloquently and
very beautifully.
very descriptively. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
and Dr. Naderi also has been there to
That's right, he did help her,
which is great. Another good friend of mine.
Okay.
Also Shirazi, Mr.
Yes.
Dr. Naderi is, and so that's wonderful. I love when I see the community so interconnected and helping one another, especially people like Dr. Naderi, who's helping another young artist like Alexandra, or people like that. It's really a great feeling. It makes me feel, wow, this is what I envisioned years ago.
Exactly.
And we're seeing it now with the social media. It's much easier to be connected, of course, rather than those days. Now, back to people you help and you support. I know you said it's your passion, but I'm sure it's also your business.
Yes.
For the ones that are watching us, if they want to contact you and have you help their businesses or promotion or whatever, do you do that? Or you have to like someone to write about them? Or does it work both ways?
Yeah, I have actually my own clients.
Oh, okay.
And what I do is that I try to focus on people that have very limited or pretty much no presence on the internet as far as their business is concerned. I don't really go after the big corporations. I like the mom and pop stores or businesses that are really small as far as numbers is concerned, and I try to really promote them on social media. So I start a campaign for them as far as creating pages. If they have a website, I link it to all the different pages, and I write content for them. I interact with their audience and so forth. And ultimately, my goal is to pretty much create a buzz for that company that they own. So far, it's been up and down. I don't want to say every one of them has been a great success, but it's a work in progress, and I'm happy with doing it. I think eventually we'll work out all the kinks.
I bet. Now, another person I don't want to forget is Babak Kalhor and King.
Yes.
That he did the documentary, and you also talked to him, interviewed him, and promoted his film. How did that come about?
A friend of mine, Nadia Daveri, who's a very accomplished entertainment lawyer, she introduced Babak and Siamak to me, and Babak called and said, look, we are about to start a campaign promoting A Dying King, which is a documentary based on the Shah's last days. Very few people know they know he died of cancer.
Right.
But ultimately, the backstory is much more deeper than that. And to be frank with you, cancer is not what he died of.
Right.
And that story needed to be told. So I said, you know what, this is a great opportunity for both for me and for the film. So I helped them promote the film on social media.
And that was great. You did a wonderful
Well,
job.
I don't want to take full
Almost
credit.
everyone knew about this film. Like almost everyone that I came across.
It wasn't all
As I
me.
was-
They have a very good team in place. But I'm
No,
glad.
you're being modest, but I certainly, of course, I know Babak and Siamak both, and of course he told me about it. But then the minute he told me about it, all I heard it was from you on
Right.
social media promoting it for the red carpet for the movie here,
Yeah.
and then when it went to the European festivals, this, that, the other, and now recently he had another talk with the NPR radio, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was
or-
in Chicago yesterday
Oh, okay.
on a podcast, and
Right.
they were doing a free screening at a university in Chicago.
Because still people are asking me, believe it or not, some
Yeah.
people are a little slow following up the news, and some of them who are following my Facebook, they send me private message like, when can we see this film?
Yeah.
Where does it show?
It's
And I'm like,
available
now
on
it should be.
DVD,
right.
and VOD and so forth across all channels right now. So it's readily available. But as far as screening it in theaters and store, it had a very limited time.
Because they normally do for indies movies.
It
right?
was it was self-funded, and Babak really put every cent of his own money into this. So it's so. If you can watch this movie, go ahead and watch it. I think it's very
It was
well
well
done.
made.
It's
Yes,
very well
I
made.
told him
Yeah.
that, and I also had an interview with him about the movie, and
Yeah.
we actually aired it from this channel here a month ago or so, and so I was very impressed with what he did, and so that would maybe something for Babak now to start concentrating on.
Yeah,
Maybe
what
starting-
shocked me was that this is the first time he's made a film.
Yes.
And it was really, for a first-time filmmaker, it was very well done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well then I want to maybe ask you now, where do you see yourself in a few years with the social media, with writing stories about the young Iranian? I shouldn't say Iranian American again, because like I said at the beginning of the show, you talk about Iranians from all kinds of backgrounds and ethnicity. It could be British,
Yes.
French. Where do you see yourself? And
I would like to take this maybe a step further. Perhaps compile all these profiles in a book, or maybe have a video channel dedicated to doing this on a sort of a video format on a daily basis, or maybe a weekly basis, but something that will really expand our exposure. As far as what else will happen, who knows? It's
Another thing I don't want to forget, which excited me also very much when I read your bio, was that you like to be a food critic.
not a critic. I like to eat.
Well, I like to be a food critic.
Yeah, okay.
Because since young days, whenever I used to go to restaurants, and I do that a lot
Yes.
from younger days till now, I'm very fussy with what I eat, and I pay a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And always my friends actually used to tell me that you should be a food critic, because you have a good taste, you know what your food should be like. And then when I read your bio, I'm like, oh boy, another things that he does that I like doing is going to restaurants and introducing them. And I
Yeah.
noticed you have done a few. How did that come about? And
Yeah,
did you stop doing it now, or is it
No,
something
no.
else in the back burner?
Yeah, I have so much on my plate right now, but I'll tell you how that happened. I had a site called the LA Foodies Social Club, which is simply a web page on Facebook. It really didn't do that much. It was just like something that I used to do for fun. Shahin Shafai, who's a very accomplished filmmaker, he actually filmed A Dying King. About 6-7 months ago, he called. He said, "Look, you know what? I want to do something fun. I saw this LA foodies. Let's do something together." So I met him. I said, "Well, what do you want to propose?" He goes, "Let's go and film at restaurants." It's very similar to what the Food Network does, but on a more detailed basis. So I said, "All right, you know what? This sounds like something fun. So how do we go about doing it?" We initially concentrated on doing it for Iranian / Persian restaurants. So we did two. Our first one was at Taste of Tehran, and then the second one was at Sadaf restaurant, which is really down the street from here.
Yes, on Ventura.
Yeah. Each program is about 20 minutes long. Not only do we interview the chef and look at the food that they prepare and the people that work it, but we also give a little bit backstory about the people that are running this place, how the restaurant came about. So it's almost like an analysis of the restaurant. It's not so much just the food itself. Just to give you an example, like Sadaf, a very prominent artist by the name of Ali Sabet did a simply amazing mural on the wall. It's all calligraphy. And you go in and it's stunning looking. So we actually brought Ali, and he was part of the show. And he told us how he was kind enough to draw stuff. We talked to the architect that had designed Sadaf. They went through an enormous renovation, and we had an in-depth interview with Sadaf herself.
And how was the food?
The food is great. It really is. It's very well done. If you have an opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. And same thing for Taste of Tehran. Taste of Tehran I didn't know about it. It's a small place in Westwood. We went in. The owner, Sawar, is so friendly, and she has come with this incredibly different type of Iranian food. She has this quinoa salad Shirazi.
That's right. Yeah, she comes up with all these different ideas. She normally helps me cater for my Persian Nowruz. Thanks to her. So
as far as doing more of that stuff, I'd love to do more. It's very time consuming.
It is, absolutely.
And just arranging it. And Shaheen has been very busy with the Dying King.
Of course.
But it's something that is in the works. We actually, I was thinking of doing the third one relatively soon. So yeah.
Okay, then I'll be the food critic. Because I've always wanted to do that.
Right.
And again, for Iranians, restaurants, we have plenty in the valley, on the other side, also Orange County, San Diego, all of them. And that would be good, actually, to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it would make them kind of on their toes if they know that people are writing about them, it will be great.
It's funny you mentioned it, because I've actually been approached by a number of restaurant owners and so forth that they're asking me to do it. And
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, I wish you lots of success.
Oh, my pleasure.
And before we end the program today, I wanted to just make sure that you guys are aware that due to the tragedy that happened in Florida a few days ago in a school, that 17 young lives were taken by this one guy who used to attend the same school and is only 19 and ended up killing all these people. There is a rally coming this Sunday in downtown Los Angeles, Persian Square, that if you like and if you have time, please go and attend. من اینو به فارسی هم بگم if you don't mind. همین یک شنبه در فیسبوک خانم دکتر فریده کیومهر که در مورد مسائل مربوط به مبارزه با خشونت خیلی تلاش کردن. الان سالیان سال هست که اصلا در مورد این مسئله یک ارگانیزیشنی دارن، بسیار زحمت میکشن، دارن سعی میکنن این اسلحه رو حتی به عنوان توی از مدارس بردارن، به بچه‌ها یاد بدن که حتی تویگان هم چیز جالبی نیست، چون این از بچگی ما داریم بهشون یاد میدیم. به هر حال زحمات بسیاری کشیدن، ولی مطمئنم که این همه زحمت به هدر نرفته. همین یک شنبه همونطور که خدمتتون گفتم به خاطر این واقعه جدیدی که الان 2 روز پیش اتفاق افتاده و همه رسانه‌ها رو تحت پوشش خودش قرار داده، اگه مایل باشید اکچولی یک شنبه هم نیست، ماندی پرزیدنتس دی، عذر میخوام، برای که این 3 روز تعطیلی داریم همین هفته که داره میاد. ماندی دوشنبه پرزیدنتس دی هست ساعت 11 تا 2 در پرشینگ سکوئر پارک داونتاون لس آنجلس قرار هست که یک تظاهراتی باشه، برای اینکه دیگه دارن میگن کافیه، اسلحه داشتن غیر قانونی کافیه و بهتری که دولت یک فکر سازنده‌ای در این رابطه بکنه. یعنی دیگه الان بچه و بزرگ دارن راجع به این مسئله صحبت میکنن. میدونم خیلی از شما ممکنه اصلا هم تو خونه‌تون داشته باشین، ممکنه که خیلی‌ها دارن، ولی از لانگ از این که این قانونی باشه، در دسترس بچه‌ها نباشه، به آدمایی که از جهت عقلی فکرشون خوب کار نمیکنه لااقل اینا رو ندن، باز خودش خیلی جلوگیری میکنه تا اینی که به شکلی که الان در دسترس همه هستیم، بچه 19 ساله خیلی مشکلات فکری و روحی داشته و 6-7 ماه پیش رفته اسلحه رو خریده، خیلی هم قانونی رفته خریده، هیچ مسئله هم نبوده باشه. در نتیجه اینا مسائلی هستش که ما به عنوان شهروندی که داریم اینجا زندگی میکنیم و هر اتفاقی که توی این مملکت به سر ما یا همسایه ما یا دوستانمون میفته، به هر حال ما هم درش سهیم هستیم. خوب هست که اگر یک چنین باورایی داریم در موردش یک کاری هم انجام بدیم و استپی برداریم. دیگه this is the least، کوچکترین کاری که میتونیم بکنیم این هست و من حتما فکر کردم که لازم به یادآوری و توضیح شاید باشه که اگر در موردش اطلاعی ندارید از طریق این برنامه با خبر بشید. اطلاعات بیشتر اگر خواستید جویا بشید با کمال میل میتونید به من پرایوت مسیج روی فیسبوک بفرستید. توضیحات بیشتری اگه داشته باشم در اختیارتون قرار میدم یا دایرکتلی شما رو میذارم در تماس با خانم دکتر فریده کیومهر که زحمات بسیاری در این مورد میکشن شبانه روز. ممنونم از وقت همگیتون، متشکرم از لطفی که به برنامه دارید. همیشه میتونید با من در تماس باشید از طریق تلفنی که روی صفحه تلویزیون میبینید. من در خدمتتون هستم. اگر دوستانی رو دارید که دوست دارید در برنامه دعوت بشن، با کمال میل در خدمتتون خواهم بود. از آقای فرد پروانه یک بار دیگه بسیار تشکر میکنم که وقت به ما دادید در مورد کارهای بسیار جالب و متفاوت و یونیکی که انجام میدید در زمینه سوشال میدیا با ایرانیای موفق با ما صحبت میکنید. ممنونم، با امید دیدار با شما عزیزان. هفته خوبی رو براتون آرزومندم تا هفته آینده که الکساندر منیر، یک خانم نویسنده ایرانی آمریکایی، با جدیدترین کتابش با ما صحبت خواهد کرد که شما رو در مورد کتاب جدیدش آشنا بکنه و بوک ساینینگش که در گروف خواهد بود. اطلاعات بیشتر رو در گفتگویی که با او در هفته آینده خواهم داشت به اطلاعاتون خواهیم رسوند. هفته خوبی داشته باشید. Stay healthy and drive safely. Have a nice weekend. Merci, Fred.
Merci. Thank you.